So, what about if you have a criminal history? Let's say you have a felony in your background and you feel like you keep getting discriminated against because of it, or you can't seem to get a job because of the felony. And so you're tempted in an interview to not bring it up or to lie about it, in the hopes that they won't catch it. I'm going to say honesty is always the best policy. When we're trying to get a job, I believe that we want the Lord's blessing in it. And the Lord operates in truth. He doesn't operate in lies. He doesn't cooperate with lies. And so we want to make sure that we're truthful in the answers that we give. And that will invite the Lord's blessing in on it. Now, I get that there's still some employers who will still frown upon it. But there's probably a way to share it that will help you. So, for example, let's say you committed an armed robbery, 15 years ago. How are you going to talk about that in an interview? Typically, there's going to be a gap in your employment, and they're going to say, hey, tell me about this gap in your employment. At that moment, you have your oh crap moment, I got to talk about this now. That's when you're going to say, when you're really going to own up to it. And that's going to be a wonderful surprise to your interviewer. It's really as honest and as simple as that. If you can completely own the mistake, you completely own the crime, that will disarm the interviewer. Instead of blame shifting, which can be like, it was just a little gap. It wasn't that big, right? I can go into it if you really want me to.
Sure, go ahead.
I kind of ran into some trouble. I was running with the wrong people, and they kind of forced me into some bad situations. And because of that, and my boss was a jerk too. My boss was a jerk at that company, and he didn't understand that I really needed the time off for court. So here I am.
Okay.
That's very off-putting. But if you fully own it, like, no, I screwed up, and it's very costly for me, my family, and here's what I've learned, that'll be very disarming for an interviewer, and they'll be pleasantly surprised by that. Same thing goes if you have a substance abuse issue. So maybe you never got convicted, but boy, you sure did have a drug problem, right? Or something else that happened, and so that caused you to lose your job. It's better to own it. So, I had a heroin addiction, and it really impacted my family. It impacted my ability to work, to keep my commitments. And it got so bad that I lost my job. And at that point in time, that's when I knew I had to change. So I checked into a rehab clinic. And then you can go through, these are the things that I've done to change. These are the things that I've embraced. So now I'm a new person, and why I'm not going back there, right? So let's say you had a gap in your employment because of your disability. Let's say you have a disability and something happened and you were out of work for quite a while. And that can happen for a lot of reasons. So maybe you got cancer, right? Maybe you got in a real bad car accident. There's a whole host of things that could happen. Or maybe your disability just finally onset and at one point in time. But now, life's different, and so you're ready for employment again. So how do you address the gap question when you have a disability?
So why was there a gap in your employment between those two dates?
Yeah, so that was a tough time in my life. I was diagnosed with cancer, and that has a lot of effects on a person, right? Physically and emotionally, and so I need to get treatment, and I need to be able to focus on that to get better, and also spend time with my family. And thankfully, I'm in remission, so the treatments were successful, and so that's why I'm ready to move on now.
Okay.
What you have to communicate when there's a gap is what happened, what truly happened, right? What you're doing to rectify that, whether it's therapy, whether it's time, whether it's a new drug, and why you're ready for employment now. So what has changed? What is different about that situation? If you can communicate that, the gap question is no problem. whether it's criminal history, substance abuse, or a disability, or just life circumstance. Maybe your mom and you had kids and you want to stay home and raise them. It could be anything. Or you're taking care of your elderly parents, right? If you can answer those questions, the gap question won't be a problem for you, okay?